Permission to film in Russia isn't easy to get. So we didn't. Less than a year from the World Cup final, we went undercover in Moscow to give you the lowdown from up high. On the streets of the city where football's next fairy tale will be written, we wanted to get the truth about a country that combines a deep, rich history of art, science and literature, mixed with a carefully curated image of might, muscle, machismo, and a little madness. Really genuine batshit madness. And how does all of that compare to the real thing fans and players will find when they actually get to Russia next year? As the clock ticks down, Moscow, where the final will be played, is a construction site. The central part of the famous city is getting a Kardashian-scale facelift as it prepares for what is expected to be easily the biggest influx of authorised outsiders in the nation's history. Bigger than the Olympic Winter Games in Sochi and bigger than the Summer Games of 1980 that were held when America and Russia were stuck in a dangerous cycle of dick measuring known as the Cold War. It's not so much the case anymore. The respective leaders seem to have a far closer working relationship these days. It's easy to take for granted that Russia will throw its doors open to anyone with a ticket to a game next year. It shouldn't. Like the Russian smile, the visa can be hard work to secure. Yes, it's a stereotype, but it doesn't exist without some foundation. Even in summer, Muscovites take some warming up. But the charm offensive is real. The effort to make the outsider feel welcome next year is real. From Red Square to the incredible Russia State University building and arguably the most beautiful of all attractions, the Moscow Underground. Signage will be available in English, so you won't have to worry if you need to get the train in the direction of Nebuzhmanish or anywhere else. It's all about accepting all comers and making them feel welcome. Unless, of course, you're openly gay, then you're going to have a really shit time and probably won't be encouraged to come at all. Yeah. That was a little heavy, so here's a drone shot. This is Luzhniki Stadium, made famous when John Terry slipped while taking a penalty during the Champions League final in 2008. Brutal. Just like the man the stadium was formerly named after, Vladimir Lenin. Statues are big in Moscow, from Vlad to Peter the Great, really big, to the general who rode into Berlin after World War II. Begs the question, what will the government erect if Russia gets out of its group when the tournament begins? Mind you, using recent form as a guide, I wouldn't go buying the stone just yet. Symbolism is important in Russia, it always has been. The monarchy is dead, the brand is now king. You can buy a Bentley in a shopping centre, take a shower in the suite Donald Trump famously entertained some friends. Or at the other end of the scale, you can try your luck getting around in a famous Russian-built lemon called Lada. For the football tourist during the World Cup, you won't want for drinking options. One stereotype that holds watertight is the Russian love of drinking. The standard, I repeat, the standard vodka shot size is 100 millilitres. If, however, you don't want to be that typical tourist drinking vodka in a furry hat that you bought from the market, you can choose to get your headache another way. This really happens in Russia. The helmet gets more important as we go along here. We're halfway home. Yeah, that was a shovel. And wait for the finale. So if you can drag your headache out of bed the next day, Gorky Park awaits, where, if you've got your senses back, you can take a trip to a time predating safety standards by walking on top of a bridge with no handrails. Things will likely change if you're here for the World Cup, as Russia will be in a more self-conscious mode, presented like one giant month-long nationwide selfie. And just like the selfie, much as you might not like the idea of one, what it stands for, or how much time and money they had to pay to get it, the fact is, if the end result looks good, you'll likely forget. The poorly built stadiums, the North Korean labour, the tournament bidding process, and its missing computers. That's because, finally, thankfully, after all the noise, the whole thing will end with 64 beautiful games of football and one winner in a cool, beautiful, cruel, crazy, proud, historic, confusing, smart, mad and wildly interesting country absolutely like no other.
Ты надела новый мейкап, столько лесен, но мне не интересно ты.